Welcome back to the Andrew Finney Show, where we help you make real estate. So before we begin today, I wanted to give you the opportunity, number one, to join in, but also to share some interesting things. As is my custom, I normally listen to Audible books on my way into work, and that's how I start my morning routine. This morning, I've been going through a book called The Alchemist by Paulo, Coelho, and excuse me if I didn't pronounce that correctly, but absolutely fabulous book. And one of the points that they kept making in that book is that the universe conspires for you when you're truly committed to aspiring to achieve something. So in another way of saying that, when one aspires to truly achieve something, the universe will always conspire to help you along your way to achieve that. Now, some of you might be wondering, what's this have to do with real estate and how's it relevant? In short, nothing and everything. Why? Because in working with so many families, all these hundreds of families that I've had the great pleasure and opportunity to work with, I've learned a lot about human disposition, human thought process, decision-making thought processes, and what makes them tick. And it's really interesting because I always believe that people reach out to me for a reason. The universal energy is simply guiding us to link up at that moment in time, and there's a lesson to be learned for them or for me or for both, right? Not every family I meet with will work with me, nor will I work with them. So it's pretty interesting when you start thinking about the way that the universe works and combining the right people, from something like you being here on this video today to working with a real estate agent to help you with their most significant purchase or sale that you will ever have. It's really interesting when you start taking a step back and realizing just how powerful this is. And that's why it has so much to do with real estate. Will you accept the opportunity when someone's knocking at your door to help you? Will you open your door when you're ready to receive? And when you knock on someone else's door, are you ready for the person that's going to come through? So without further ado, let's go ahead and start answering some of the questions that we had come in last week and get some shout outs to the wonderful community members and teammates that we have commenting on the videos that I release all the time. And as we're chatting, then please feel free to hit me up on the live chat and we'll go ahead and answer your questions and give you a shout out in real time. Okay, so leading this off is going to be Chris J, who 6 days ago was commenting on a video about the 5 hidden costs of buying a new home build. Chris J, thank you so much. He said, good stuff, but I talk a little bit fast. Yes, I do talk a little bit quick. So Chris J, you'll be pleased to know that YouTube has made a settings function on your bottom right side. If you hover over the screen, you can actually slow me down or speed me up if you wanted to do so. My rate of speech, I've been working on it. I'll continue to work on it. At the same time, it's just one of those things. But I definitely appreciate you watching, and I appreciate your comment and your feedback. I'll work towards slowing down just a little bit. And then the next comment came in from Leo Q. I believe that's how you say his name, Leo Q. Thank you so much for watching. He was commenting on the video, the very first video of 2018 that I released, the 7 housing market predictions of 2018. Important to remember that I put that video out now on the very first day of January, and he was talking about it being a bubble, and that right now, even in the Bay Area and Silicon Valley, where a good engineer like himself can easily make over $300,000 a year, that housing starts to cool down, and it's really, really hot and really, really competitive over there. But he's seeing it cool down, especially with the interest rates going up. He believes that the housing market will turn into a buyer market, and not to mention the rising interest rates and the impact it will have on the stock market. So Leo, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. The indicators in the market are definitely showing signs of a little bit of a slowdown, but whether it trends directly to a buyer's market or not is anyone's guess. What we are seeing as large-scale trends and indicators that we look at are how much of the down payment on average are buyers putting down. What are we looking at as far as the notice of trustee sales, notice of default? So notice of default is issued when somebody has missed their mortgage payment for 3 months. And it's an indicator of a property getting ready to go into a foreclosure status. For short, when people talk about, oh, pre-foreclosure, they're essentially talking about somebody that's been given a notice of default for missing their mortgage payments. So a pre-foreclosure can easily be satisfied if they simply get current on their mortgage. At the same time, it's important to note these trends and indicators so that we can have a holistic view of the market going forward. Dhruve Kahndave, thank you. I see you. Hi, Andrew. What do you think I should look for whenever I go into my pre-home orientation in 7 days before closing? So, Dhruve, just real quick question here. Were you working with a trusted real estate advisor, or did you unfortunately go in without representation? Either way, some of the things that you want to be looking for is that you want to get a roll of blue tape. They should have it ready for you and ready to go. And you want to be looking for any defects. If it doesn't sit right with you, and if you don't agree with it, number one, ask a question. Number two, place a real estate. Okay, perfect. So if you have a trusted real estate advisor, hopefully they're well informed and knowledgeable about the new home process. What you want to do is just what I started to say a moment ago. It's a new home. Congratulations on your new home, by the way, Dhruve. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're going through in that blue tape meeting and taking it extremely seriously. And you want to go through every single thing from the baseboards to electrical outlets to paint where the paint doesn't look like it was done correctly. Hi, Linda. So where the paint looks like it was maybe missed out a little bit, you want to make sure that anything and everything is notated. You want to check and open and close all the drawers, all the cabinets, everything to do with it. If there's so much as a crack, so much as a scuff, so much as, a faucet being a little bit sticky, a stopper not working correctly, you want to take that and you want to get that fixed. That's the expectation of a new home, and you have the right to do that, Dhruve. So essentially, you look at every single component of that home and have your trusted real estate advisor do the same. If you have a question, that's the time to air your concerns with a superintendent or assistant superintendent of whomever is going to be providing that new home orientation. Take notes, take stock, and make sure that everything is correct prior to closing on that property. As you know, the new home builder is going to give you 1 year, essentially like a bumper-to-bumper warranty after you close. At the same time, if there's bigger ticket items like baseboards or a cabinetry or things like that that aren't working correctly, you want that functional before you move in the first piece of furniture. The power is in your hands right now because they want to close and you want to close, but they want to close just as bad as you do. So make sure it's done correctly and make sure that you and your trusted real estate advisor are essentially doing an all-out inspection. And if it doesn't feel right, or if you think something should be fixed, it should be fixed, and especially as a new home construction, okay? So Linda, hello from New Hampshire. Thank you for all the information you give me. It has helped you to understand a little bit. Linda, thank you so much. I really appreciate you tuning in from New Hampshire, and thank you for being here again. I do remember that you were with us last week as well. Any information that I could provide to assist you on your way in making sense of the real estate process, feel free to ask me any questions, whether you're emailing me directly or whether you're commenting on these videos. The more information and the more questions that are asked in these formats when we're live, the better, because it's all real time and we can answer questions right now. So thank you for tuning in from New Hampshire. Really appreciate you. And I'm glad that my videos are helping you make better sense of the real estate process. Peter Harper wanted to know questions to ask during viewing a home whenever he was commenting about the video, what to look for when viewing a home. Brunhilde Morris, hi, it's good to see you again. Thank you for tuning in today. So back to Peter. Peter was asking questions to ask an agent during viewing. Well, those questions that I was bringing up in that video of what to look for when viewing a home, those are the same questions that you would essentially want to ask a real estate agent. You'd also want to ask them what's their interpretation and their understanding of what's going on in that community, that area, how's home appreciation looking like, and any information that you might be concerned about. Now, keep in mind, a real estate agent will not be able to legally tell you this is a safe neighborhood. It's actually a violation of our National Association of Realtors Code of Ethics. I wish that we could, but you got to consider it this way. If I said this area was safe because I'm a real estate agent and that allegedly makes it safe for me, right? Because it's to my personal taste. What happens if you would have considered something else safe? Well, it would have been very skewed, and that's why it falls underneath what's called steering. We as professional real estate agents have to walk that fine line. Now, we should always be happy to provide you with a crime map resource so that you can simply Google the property or enter the property address into the crime map so that you can make a well-informed decision whether it's a suitable area or community for you. I bring that up because that's one of the most common things. Andrew, is this a safe area? Say, well, I've sent you a video on that and I've sent you a crime mapping link. Only you can choose what you're safe and what you're comfortable with, not me. My expectation of a home may be different than your expectation of a home. Your expectation of an area may be different than mine. So we got to avoid these personal feelings, and so that we can represent and focus in on our client's best interest and what's most important to them about purchasing a home. We're happy to be the knowledge resource and provide you with any links about demographic information for reference. A great source of that is called City Data. If you go on my website, I have a lot of this information available. If you start clicking on the different communities and zip codes and stuff that I'm working on breaking down as I have time to work on the Andrew Finney team website, I continue to site map it out. As I'm doing that, I'm putting in all these helpful links that are commonly asked here in Las Vegas, but a lot of these links, there's at least 3 of them that will work nationwide, one being City Data, Another one being the crime mapping link. A crime mapping link may be organic to your area, but there is one that I use that seems to be functional across the United States. It's just hit and miss based upon county or city. So it's something that you can always try it. And it's a really hard one to remember, by the way. We're talking about crime map. So guess what the URL is? It's actually crimemapping.com. So it's pretty easy to look up there. Try that out. But those are things that you want to consider. You also want to ask your agent, did you see anything that might cause an issue during the home inspection? Did you see anything that might cause an issue for funding conditions? Now, keep in mind, as a trusted real estate advisor, we aren't home inspectors, and that's why we advise you to get a home inspection, is to let the certified and licensed professional go in and share their advice with you as far as their professional opinions are concerned about that property, and make a well-informed decision as far as what to ask for in the repair request. Keep in mind that a repair request is a request. The seller may or may not actually perform all of those items, but a good seller will do as much of it as possible, so long as it wasn't superficial or cosmetic items. So it's one of those things that keep in the back of your mind. Another thing that you can take into consideration is the importance of a home warranty. They can help protect you as well. LaRon Hall, thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Andrew. Keep up the great work. LaRon, thank you so much for being here today. It's a pleasure. It was great chatting with you last week. By the way, LaRon, thank you for reaching out. Looking forward to helping you and your family when the time is right to help y'all buy your home here in Vegas. But thank you for watching, and thank you for reaching out. It was an absolute pleasure chatting with you. The Army 88 Iffy? Okay. Watch a lot of my videos and appreciate the content. For a VA loan, can you and how much can you gross up a VA disability? You know, that's a really good question, and I'm glad that you brought that up. It really depends on the state that you're living in. The number one source of the information that you're going to want to get that exact answer and how that's going to apply to you is actually reaching out to a local loan officer in the area that you're living in. You might, if you don't have a trusted real estate advisor, you're uncertain where to go to find that local loan officer, then find that trusted real estate advisor first. Of course, I'm happy to tap into my top agent network to help you find the right agent to assist you with the purchase of your new home. The reason that it varies is because every city is different. So when you're looking at grossing up a disability income, it depends on whether you have a state tax or not. Like here in Las Vegas, Nevada, we don't have a state tax. So when we look at grossing up compared from Nevada to California, the gross up is going to be different. The percentage is going to be different based upon the amount of taxes that otherwise would be paid out for the approval process in that area. So there's a lot of similarities. At the same time, that exact percent is going to be different, and it's going to be varied based upon location to location. But it's good that you know that it's going to be grossed up. Now, there's a lot of wonderful tools that you can use. If you head on over to my website, andrewfinneyteam.com, go underneath the buyer section, and underneath that mortgage calculator, you'll be able to come up with a rough estimate of what you're looking at as far as how much home that you can get approved for, what your debt to income ratios are looking like, and the realistic scoop. Now, if you watch that video, you'll know better how to use that calculator. It is pretty in depth, and there's a lot of cool features to it. But make sure that you get with that local loan officer that asks them how much they're going to gross up your income over there. You don't know what you don't know until you know that you don't know it. Don't you know it? So it's always a pretty fun way to say it, but it's the truth. So don't let fear, which is just false evidence appearing real, hold you back from taking the first step and knowing if you're going to be able to qualify and knowing how to actually put together a game plan moving forward into purchasing your new home. This is about you, and this is about you getting as much information as possible so that you can feel comfortable and confident every step of the way, whether you're buying a home, selling a home, just owning a home, or investing in a home. Go ahead and make that happen. The Army 88 Iffy. Really appreciate you tuning in today, and thank you for being here. So now let's go into awesome things. He's talking about the FHA appraisal. I had made a video with one of my lenders last year in 2017 about the FHA appraisal process and what appraisals generally look like. And awesome things that said, typically anything big that catches your eye is a failure. Well, it's important to note that when you have both a home inspection and a home appraisal, there really is no pass or fail grade. What it is a citing out the condition of the property at the time. Now, when it comes to an appraisal, it's not so much that it's a failure in as much as what's called a condition. So a condition to the loan being approved at the value that the appraiser has said, yes, I'll give this value to this property if these conditions are met. Generally, they're looking very closely, depending on the loan type, very, very closely at what's called health and safety conditions. Now, if you want more information about that, you might want to go back to that video that I made with Josh Coomer last year on the FHA appraisal 2017. Great video, great information. And if you have any other questions about that, let me know. Thank you. So Brandon Zuralek, he was commenting on the video how the closing process works when buying a house. So he said he liked number 10 best. Well, Brian, that was, that I agree with you. That's a fun one. So step number 10 in the buyer closing process was getting the keys, having a good time, and inviting a lot of people over for your housewarming party so that you can enjoy your home with your family and friends and break bread and give thanks for the good fortunes that you just got in getting into your new home. So I'm right there with you. That is a fun time. I just attended a couple of housewarming parties this last weekend. Got another one to go to this weekend. Really exciting stuff. Always amazing times to spend wonderful times with families in their new homes. So good on you, Brandon. Glad you like that tip too. IGC Ildo Gonsalves, thank you so much for watching. How much home can I afford? And saying good tips with a little okay sign. Hey, okay, I'm glad you watched it. Glad you got something out of it. If you have any other questions about tips or you want to see something different in the video content, let me know. Love ya. All right. Andy Ann says on the 5 housing trends impacting first-time home buyers, he says, this guy's a genius. Well, Andy Ann, thank you for calling me a genius. I appreciate you. I'm just a person like anyone else. I just have a passion to help you. That's all. So I really appreciate you, and I appreciate the fact that you like that content in that video. Then you went on and I saw that you made another comment, and I really found this one interesting, Andy Ann, so thank you for bringing it up. He was talking about one of the points I was making about in that video about 2008 being essentially an anomaly. It's not common that the real estate market, when it cycles down as far as it did in 2008. And he said that, he went on to say that was the only real crash since the Depression, which he's absolutely right. It is. It's not common. It was a major course correction, and it was like 70 years, 80 years after the fact of the last Great Depression. Something to think about and something to know about. A typical down cycle in real estate, you might see somewhere between 5% and 15% depreciation over a period of 2 to 3 years, if not a little bit less. Then when it goes down that 10 to 15%, that pricing at that time becomes the new baseline. So what we're seeing a lot in the market right now is a lot of nervous anxiety because people are thinking, oh, well, the market's going to collapse, the market's going to pop. And as I shared on the onset of this video in answering the questions of the gentleman earlier, or commenting on Leo Kui, I apologize if I'm butchering that, Leo, I don't mean to, but thank you nonetheless for bringing it up, is that when people say that we're in a bubble, well, unfortunately, the indicators aren't there. The indicators are there that the market must slow down so people can continue to afford homes and get home loans. It's an absolute imperative that the market's going to have to balance out on the rate of appreciation. But make no mistake about it, you're still looking at home appreciation moving forward. It's just at what rate the appreciation is going to occur. What we've seen in Las Vegas alone since the beginning of the year, where we have 12-13% of appreciation just since this January of 2018. That's insane. Normal is 3 to 4% for reference. Normal is 3 to 4% appreciation year over year in the long term, okay? So it's important to know what we're looking at so you can make a well-informed decision. Buying a house today in 2018 is going to be better than buying a house in 2022 or 2023, even if the market cycled down at that time 10 to 15%. If you do even just a 3%, 4% math, it'll put you at a baseline or slightly above the baseline when you move into the market going forward, when the market starts to climb again. So anybody that's buying anywhere from now until probably 2020, 2022 are going to probably be okay. But anyone that buys closer to that 2022, 2025 mark that I talked about in that video, you might see a short-term loss of your property appreciation. But it goes back to why I always recommend people when they're telling me, Andrew, how long do I have to keep my house before I can sell it? And I always say the same thing. The infinite wisdom behind this is 5 to 7 years at a minimum. If you're keeping that house 5 to 7 years at a minimum, you're giving yourself the opportunity to let the market appreciate, do what it needs to do with its course adjustments and patterns, corrections, and everything else, right? But it's giving yourself the opportunity to build up equity as you pay down your mortgage. When that happens, then if you've been in your house for at least 5 to 7 years, ideally the market has worked in your favor and you can sell your home if you choose to do so. That's a very common question I get from first-time home buyers when they realize they're not going to be able to get their dream home right out of the gate. Most of us don't, and that's just the reality. We got to buy 2, 3 homes before we can get into the home that we consider our forever home or our dream home, if you will. So when we do that, then we have to be smart about the timing when we purchase a home, and we also can't hesitate to get into the game. The very first step is always getting into the game after you become educated. And that's why I'm so proud of each and every one of you watching this episode today, and all of our 4,200 and counting subscribers on the channel. As we continue to learn and grow, you're becoming educated. You're taking the right steps to know how to buy and sell a home. And I'm so immensely proud of you, so that there's also content that I provide on that channel as you move forward in life, from owning your home and also investing in the real estate. Just so very proud of you guys. It's amazing. The Army 88 iffy. In our area, Philadelphia suburb area, it seems that there are so much new construction and housing prices are above the 2007 levels. A downturn seems close and is making me nervous about buying. That makes a lot of sense, and it's just fear. Fear is false evidence appearing real. I absolutely agree with you. The prices are pretty nuts. Now, what we're going to be seeing going forward, as I was saying a moment ago, is you're still going to likely see appreciation. Even if the downturn occurs anywhere, you might be looking at 5 to 15%, but the indicators of the downturn aren't there. We still have extremely tight inventory of homes across the United States, and that's prevalent in all major areas. And it's shockingly, even some areas of Washington state are leading the charge, whereas Las Vegas was leading the charge into the 2006, 2007, and 2008 debacle. Las Vegas doesn't even make the top 100 of the fastest appreciating markets right now. So it's pretty interesting that way. The reason I wanted to bring up Andy Ann's second point in today's episode is that he was talking about his friends and family that had owned homes for 15 plus years, or people that had that he knows that have bought homes in the last 15 years, and even bought and whenever the market was getting ready to down cycle at the height of the market. And what I like what he said is that he just bought a starter house in Los Angeles. He said he was hesitating, like I'd mentioned in that video, and that the house that he purchased is not the perfect home that he dreamed of and wanted to spend his whole life in. But he had asked his colleagues who are 15 years older than him and expressed his concerns about the heated housing market that we're in now. And this is right to your point, the Army 88 iffy. It's right to your point. Every single one of his friends that have experience in the real estate market told him that it doesn't matter the timing when you buy, because it's always going to go up, which is true. Over time, real estate has a pattern of appreciating 3 to 4% a year over the long haul when we look back at rates of appreciation since they started keeping this information, okay? So he said that, he went on to say that a lot of them went through the 2008 crisis with property value down as much as 35% in the area. Well, here in Las Vegas, Nevada, property got hit even harder, where, you know, one of the homes that I purchased here in Las Vegas in 2012, I actually got the house for $2,000 more than it was built for in 1984. That was scary, and that was an indicator to me that that was definitely the bottom of the market at the time. When I went back to go sell that property a few years later, it had already appreciated over 100%. So my estimation, the market in Las Vegas actually depreciated 100% of its value, and the bottom was about February, March of 2012. So it's something to think about, something to consider whenever you talk about writing it out. Now, there's a lot of people that have come off those lows and have turned around and sold those homes a couple of years ago at a healthy profit that were hit from that 2008 crisis and going through the whole pattern until we started seeing the market appreciate again, going into second, third quarter of 2013, when the market started to breathe life again, so to speak. So what's interesting is when he's talking about that is that they all recovered and appreciated very well, to just what I just mentioned. And they also got good rental income that they could have used now if they kept it as opposed to selling it. So thank you, Andy Ann, for sharing your experiences. It's very impactful, very meaningful. And that's how we learn and grow together. You have a story. You have something to share. And why not share it in this open forum and help our community learn and grow together? Because we're always stronger. None of us have the answer to everything, but we are always stronger together than we are not. So Devin Wilson, he's commenting on the video, how the closing process works when selling a home. Devin, thank you for the shout out. He says, always great information, and thanks, Andrew. Thank you for watching, Devin. Really appreciate you. Derek Jones was commenting on last Friday's video, 4 budgeting apps that you need in your life. He says that the Every Dollar app is pretty good too. Christine C. chimed in and said, Derek Jones, yes, I was going to mention it. It's Dave Ramsey's app, very easy to use. There's a 5th app that you can use for budgeting in your life. The important message of that episode is it doesn't matter what app you use, so long as you're using something to track your financials and make a budget and stay committed to it and learn how to manage your money. I had a really interesting conversation with a lady a few days ago, and she and her family are getting ready to inherit a substantial sum of money. And she said that, you know, she's concerned about some of her family members might splurge the money because they never have been accustomed to money. And I said, that's an absolute valid point. If somebody doesn't know how to manage $100, and somebody's not going to know how to manage $100 million. And that's why you see people that win the lotto, and when you see people come into a lot of money, become broke in 3 to 5 years because they have no conception of what it takes to earn that money or to manage that money to become successful. So even if you're watching this video right now and you have a $0 bank account, if you start budgeting correctly, in a year's time, you'll be surprised how much money that you can save and how much you can actually learn in the process in your life journey of becoming a better person and your financial savings, and you'll be able to achieve your goals. Oftentimes, the only person standing in your way is a person staring back at you in the mirror. So by owning your responsibilities and taking action based upon what you want to do, no one can do it for you, but you can do it every day of the week. Make it happen, okay? So then we go into Purse Junkie, who had actually commented on the same episode. She said Minton is her favorite budgeting app. Thank you for letting us know, and thank you for sharing that. Let's see. Peter Harper was commenting on the top 6 most expensive remodeling mistakes. Thank you for commenting on that. He said, great information. Question, would it hurt making a 3-bedroom into a 2-bedroom with 1 bedroom being a master bedroom suite? The bedrooms now, he believes, are the biggest is 14 by 12. The other 2 would be turned into one very, very big one. And his real estate agent had advised him that it shouldn't hurt the value of the house, and it would really be nice to have a big bedroom, and he'd like to pull the audience. So, audience and everybody watching this video, please chime in on Peter Harper's comment on the top 6 most expensive remodel mistakes, what you think he should do with his home, and whether he should be turning a 3-bed into a 2-bed home with 2 really large rooms. Now, Peter, I'll tell you as a real estate professional, what you should be looking at is what is more important in your city and locale. What is the demographic audience that you're looking for to sell that home when you choose to sell it? Even if you don't plan on ever selling it, life has a funny way of changing. So we always got to consider our future resale value with the properties that we purchase. So consider what the average buyer or what the buyers in the market are looking for. If they would get more bang out of the 2-bed option, essentially 2 masters, which there's certainly a market for that, and I'd imagine that market exists everywhere in the United States, then that might be a good option for you, okay? So it's something to think about, and it's something to consider about how to move forward on that. Now, he did ask for your guys' opinion, so I don't want to get into it too much. I want to give you guys the opportunity to comment on Peter Harper's comment. And that video that you can find that comment on is the top 6 most expensive remodeling mistakes. Okay, so let's move on. Poonam Singh, thank you so much. Now, Poonam was here last week on the Real Estate Live. If you're here today, Poonam, thank you for being here. If not, then hopefully you'll have a chance to catch it. Now, what is really interesting about Poonam's situation is she actually resides in South Africa. So as we make these videos, and it's been one of the really humbling experiences, and one of the most amazing things to me is just how many people from around the United States and around the world comment on the videos and watch the videos that I make. And it's so very inspiring to know how much they're really helping you out. So I get a kick out of that and knowing that. So with Poonam, she was talking about buying a property in South Africa. Now her question is now that she's looking to move towards April of 2020 so that she can start looking now, and she's wondering, hey, I don't want to waste a realtor or a seller's time. How do I start looking while she's still saving money for buying? It's a great question. So what you want to do, Poonam, is you actually want to start looking at homes on that 1 to 5-star rating scale online. And the way that you do that is you take a 5-star home, that's your dream home, that's your perfect home, that's a home that you've always wanted, and you would say, OMG, I want it right now, today, whatever I had to do, I would do to get that home. Whereas a 1-star is so awful, you take my glasses off and want to stab me through this camera, which, by the way, please don't do it, I kind of like my eyes, but you get the point, it's that awful of a house. With any home that's a 4-star or above in your mind's eye and your heart of hearts, actually being the home that you can see yourself living in and being happy in. Because you got to remember that most homes never are going to be a 5 until you put your touch on it and until you make it your own. But if you get in the habit of looking at homes online and grading them 1 to 5, and you keep your 4s aside, even though that home may not be available when you're ready to purchase in 2020, and it's very likely that it won't be, what you can do is get used to the exercise, Poonam, of grading them that way. And then what you want to do is you want to look for additional resources in your area in South Africa. And unfortunately, I don't have any that I know of that I can direct you to. But if you run a Google search, you can look into things for crime mapping, demographic information, area information about schools, parks, what have you, information. The same thing that I suggest to home buyers here in Las Vegas or that are looking at moving out of state. whether it's moving to Las Vegas or moving to another country or what have you, you want to investigate that area. As you get used to doing that, you can go on the Google Earth and you can go on the Google Maps and start getting an idea of what parks are around there, what shopping's around there. And then you can decide whether that's going to be the right type of community, the right type of location for you, Poonam. I definitely am looking forward to hearing from you again and keeping in touch in between now and then and moving forward. Loving the interaction with you, by the way, Poonam. So thank you so much for taking the time to comment on that and ask such a wonderful question. Marcel Colin says, will converting a two-car garage into living space or room add value to a home? That's a double-edged sword, to be honest with you, Marcel. It depends on, number one, is that garage important to people in your area? Number two, will it actually add value to the home? Only if you go through the permit process. The additional square footage picked up by a garage conversion can only be added to the square foot of the home if you go through the building department and have that additional square footage permitted. That way, it can be counted. So if you have like a 2,000 square foot home and let's say you have a typical two-car garage of like 430 square feet, if you're wondering, can you add that 430 to it if you just do the garage conversion? Not unless it was permitted. It's got to be permitted if you're going to do it. And to know how it's going to affect your resale value, you got to take an extra close look on what are the expectations of buyers in the market. Every renovation you do should be done with a foresight of what is this renovation going to do? How's it going to impact my future resale value? And will somebody want the home? Now, a person like myself, I enjoy parking my car in the garage. So if I had a home option that didn't have it, I'd rather have my garage space than have the 430 extra square feet of living space. But I'm only one person, right? So you might get more benefit out of that 430 square foot additional living space, and someone else might as well. So that's where you want to get it permitted so that you can count it into your overall square feet. If you don't do that, Marcel, unfortunately, you're going to be spending a lot of money on your conversion with no ability to have it counted into your square feet. In fact, your real estate agent is going to have to disclose that it wasn't permitted. If you do get it permitted, then make sure, if that's something that you choose to do, Marcel, then make sure that you do get it permitted and keep records of it. I made a video about a homeowner journal. You might want to go back and reference it. If you don't have one of those started yet, please definitely start one. It'll help you out when you get ready to sell your home into the future if you choose to sell, okay? And it'll help you in owning your home during the time that you're there, okay? So let's move into the next comment was from Indy Loves Me 23 on final walkthrough tips. Indy, thank you so much for tuning in. She was sharing with me that she had a home inspection tomorrow. Being that she wrote that a couple of days ago, then her home inspection would have been yesterday, or her final walk would have been yesterday. Indy Loves Me, I hope everything's working well for you on your home inspection and everything turned out. I'm super excited for you because if you're at the final walk phase, that means you're probably getting keys this Friday, if not sooner, in your new place. Congratulations. So proud of you, so happy for you, and super stoked that it was able to work out for you. Marcel Colin, awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Marcel, for the great question. Glad you were here. Linda Vargas in TAX. So Texas, maybe? Brohilda Morris is saying bye, signing off. Brohilda, thank you for being here. Appreciate you. And let's move in. Got a couple more. David Lopez was commenting on 12 negotiation tips when buying a house. He says, nice video, Andrew. Oh, how I wish you were in South Florida. Well, I do have some great top agents in my network in South Florida. If you want a reference, David, just hit me up directly on my email. My email is in the show more description below on this episode and on every single episode that I produce. It's best that you email me. And when you email me, please give me all of your contact information, not just your email. Need your phone number as well. And I will send you an email response, learn more about what you're looking for in your new place. And then I will turn that information over to a very capable, normally 2 to 3 very capable top agents in your area, so that they can all call you and you can sit down, meet with them, whatever your preference is, to make sure that you're comfortable and confident with the top agent that you choose to work with going forward. Happy to help there, David. Wish I could help out everybody on this channel. It would be so amazing if that's how it worked. But what I can do is continue making great quality videos for you to help you make well-informed decisions, whether you're buying, selling, owning a house, or investing in real estate. Christine C is talking about yesterday's video, 5 reasons why a home inspector might miss something big. She said their home inspector actually broke their AC. Lots of laughs. Well, Christine C, that's kind of interesting. Wow, I never heard of a home inspector breaking an AC before, but it certainly makes sense by the follow-up comment that you made that he did so by turning it up, the heat up, to see how fast it would heat and then how fast it would cool by knocking it down that broke the compressor. Ideally, hopefully that home inspector obviously fixed that since it was their responsibility they broke it. And I hope that it's functioning well now and that you got your home. And yeah, so Christine C, I know that you've moved in to your new home quite some time ago. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in and letting us know what happened there and for sharing your real world experiences. Always a pleasure to hear from you, Christine. Linda Vargas says, will property taxes rise when you add an addition? Yes, it most certainly will. There'll be a reassessment. Generally, a county will do a reassessment every single year of your property taxes. Property taxes will either increase, decrease, what have you, depending on what the real estate market cycles are doing. Whether you're in a strong seller's market, property values go up, property taxes will go up based upon a reassessment. If you're asking me how much, they'll go up. It really depends on your county. Every county has a different property tax and rate. Depending on that property tax rate, it could be a few dollars or it could be more. It just depends on what your property tax rate is. Ours here in Las Vegas, Nevada went up last year. And whenever it went up, it impacted my mortgage balance by about $5 a month. So, I mean, even though it went up, it was essentially $60 over the course of the year. Not a big deal, not a big detriment to anybody looking to get into purchasing a home. It's not like some areas where you're in New Hampshire, Linda, and some areas that I know like New Jersey, where property taxes realistically on a $500,000 house realistically are like $12,000 to $15,000 annually. So a slight increase there, one way or another, is a big impact to people. So I completely understand that. It's a great question, though. Your direct question was, will taxes rise when you add an addition to a house? If you're adding a permitted addition to your house, it will increase your property taxes because you have increased the property value of your home. And again, you would never want to do an addition without having it permitted. Otherwise, you can't count it and you can't get your money out of it, but you'll be paying taxes, right? So you want to make sure you get all that stuff squared away and taken care of. Now, today has been one of the longest times we've gone live, coming up on 36 minutes. So what I'd like to do at this point is just ask you to chime in with any of the questions that you'd like to see answered next week. Continue watching, making suggestions of what you'd like to see next. And I'd like to thank you again for being here today and hanging in there with me. I love the fact that you're here today, and I definitely wish you an amazing day. So in between now and next time, I'm wishing you and yours a lifetime full of love, wealth, abundance, and happiness. See you again soon, team.